The last thing Kim Jun-seo remembered from his previous life were the headlights. White, bright, right in his face. He was crossing the road. The phone in his hand was looking at the screen, not at the road. A standard story, banal to the point of boredom. The traffic light was green, he remembered that for sure. Green for pedestrians. The driver ran a red light, then darkness, not scary, just darkness. As if the light was turned off. The light was turned on again, not immediately, gradually. First the sensation of the body, hands, legs, face, everything in place, everything working. Then sounds, birds, wind, something distant resembling water. Then smells, earth, grass, wood. Then Kim Jun-seo opened his eyes. The sky was blue. Not the Korean sky over Seoul with a haze of smog, different. Too blue, too clean. Not a single airplane trail. He was lying on his back in the grass. The grass was tall, unfamiliar. Wide leaves, dark green, not the one that grows in city parks. He sat up, looked around. Forest, dense, thick, unfamiliar. Trees tall, wide at the base, unusual reddish bark. Birds audible but not visible. Insects, no roads, no buildings, no wires, absolutely none. Jun-seo sat in the grass and looked around. "Well," he said out loud. The voice was normal, his. Well, that was all he could say at that moment. Then something clicked in his head. Not physically, as if a notification, like the sound of a system alert in a phone. Only inside the skull, and in front of his eyes text. Not on a screen, not on a surface, just hanging in the air, transparent, bluish. System initialized carrier. Kim Jun-seo. Status transfer to a new world. Successful reason for selection, analytical mindset, education in the field of physics, non-standard thinking. Issued system, hacker system for violating the laws of physics. Brief description: the carrier gains the ability to locally violate the physical laws of reality within the system's area of effect. Initial radius 10 meters. Grows with the development of the system restrictions. Each violation requires the carrier's energy. Current energy reserve, 100/100. Training available through the interface Jun-seo read. Slowly, twice, then closed his eyes. Opened them. The text remained. "Okay," he said. System for violating the laws of physics. Education in the field of physics is true. He was a graduate student at the Department of Theoretical Physics at Seoul National University. Dissertation topic: Quantum Mechanics and Nonlinear Systems. The irony is obvious. System, he said. Training. Basic module laws that can be violated. 1. Gravity change of vector and force of attraction in the area of effect. 2. Substance density. Local change in the density of objects. 3. Direction of movement of liquids cancellation or change. 4. Thermodynamics local change in temperature without a source. 5. Inertia cancellation or enhancement of inertia of objects. 6. Surface tension change in the surface tension of liquids. Additional laws are unlocked with the development of the system. Cost of use: minor violation 1 to 5. Energy units medium violation 10 to 20 units. Major violation 30 to 50 units. Energy recovery 10 units per hour during rest, 5 units per hour during activity. Jun-seo read the list: gravity, density, direction of liquids, thermodynamics, inertia, surface tension. 6 basic laws that he can violate. A physics graduate student with a physics violation system, in a world without technology. He stood up, looked around once more. The first question is, where am I and are there people here? The second question is how to survive until contact with people. The third is what to do next. But first check if the system works. Nearby a small stream. Jun-seo found it after 5 minutes of walking by the sound. Narrow, shallow, about 20 centimeters deep. Transparent. Flows as it should, down the slope. Jun-seo squatted at the edge. Looked at the water. Violation of the law direction of movement of liquids. Water flows down because of gravity. If I cancel gravity for this section of water, it will flow anywhere. Or hang. Cost minor violation. 1 to 5 energy units. System. Violate gravity for the water in the stream. Radius half a meter from me. Degree of violation, complete cancellation. Request accepted. Cost 3 energy units. Confirm? Yes, the water in a half-meter radius stopped. Not gradually, instantly. The flow ceased. The water hung. Did not flow. Did not move. Just was. like glass in the shape of a stream. Junseo looked. From the side, the water flowed normally. It reached the boundary of his zone and froze, accumulated at the edge of the invisible boundary. Good, he said quietly. It works. System. Change the gravity vector for this water. Upward. Cost. 4 energy units, confirm? Yes, the hanging water went upward, slowly as if stretching toward the sky. A thin stream, then wider. Rose a meter, 2. In the air hung a column of water. At the bottom a stream. At the top something incomprehensible. Junseo stood and looked at the water that flowed vertically upward. It works. It really works. Energy, 93 over 100. Spent 7 on 2 small experiments. 100 units total reserve. Need to save, especially at the beginning. He canceled the violation. The water fell back into the stream. Splashes to the sides. He stood up. Thought. What is most important right now? Food, water, shelter, orientation on the terrain, and contact with the local residents if they exist. The system gives violations of physics, not navigation, and not cooking. We'll have to think how to use physics for basic survival. Food. Junseo knew the theory from the 3rd year, biology course for physicists, 1 semester. Knew that red berries are often poisonous. Knew that mushrooms cannot be eaten without checking. Practice 0. Use the system for food? How? Density change. If I make the berries denser, will they become more nutritious? No, that's not how it works. Density and nutritional value are different things. Temperature I can heat, cook without fire, found after half an hour of wandering a tree with fruits. Similar to mango, only smaller and more orange. Smells sweet, not unpleasant. Took one. Smelled it, licked it. Nothing bad. Ate it. Tastes sweet, slightly tart. Stomach did not hurt immediately. After 20 minutes, still normal. Let's consider it edible. Collected several. Ate 3 more. Not filling, but better than nothing. Next problem, fire. Junseo looked at dry branches, nothing in his pockets. Shirt, jeans, sneakers. The phone was in his hand when the car hit him. Obviously did not transfer with him. Friction can. Theoretically. Practically, I don't know how. System thermodynamics. Change in temperature without a source. System. Violate thermodynamics, raise the temperature of this branch to the ignition point. Cost, 8 energy units. Confirm, yes. The branch began to smoke. Then a small flame. It grew slowly. Energy, 85 over 100. 8 units for fire. Normal price. After half an hour, a small campfire. Not because of the system, but because Junseo knew how to make a fire once he was in a tourist camp during his student years. Sat by the fire, ate orange fruits, listened to the forest. Day 1, alive. Relatively full, have fire. Tomorrow, search for people. This world is either uninhabited, which is unlikely, 2 alive, or there are people here. Maybe not everywhere, maybe not nearby, but there are. Lay down by the campfire, the sky starry. Unfamiliar constellations, completely different. This is not Earth. This is another world. Physics works here means the laws of physics are the same. Gravity exists. Liquids flow down. Fire burns. The system violates the same laws as on Earth. Means the world is similar, but different. Closed his eyes, fell asleep. Day 2. Woke up early birds, loud, unfamiliar sounds. The campfire went out. In the morning, cool. Violated thermodynamics again, heated the air around himself by several degrees. Cost 3 units. Tolerable. Breakfast, the same fruits. Found another tree. Then went to search for traces of humans. Not at random, methodically. Walked along the stream downstream. Logic, people live by water. Tribes, villages, settlements, always by water. After 2 hours found. Not people, traces of people. Trampled grass, several people passed. Footprints barefoot, wide. Recently the grass was still straightening. A bit further the place where a tree was cut. Small, the trunk cut roughly. Tool primitive. Notches uneven, deep. Stone axe possibly. Stone axe. Means stone age level, or close to it. Junseo stood and looked at the cut tree. Primitive aborigines. People at the level of the Stone Age in a world without history laws known to him. How will they react to a stranger? Options: kill, drive away, accept. Kill, probably the first reaction to a stranger, especially to one who looks strange, different clothes, different type of face, clearly foreign, means needs something that will make them not kill immediately. A clear, obvious, inexplicable violation of physics for people of the Stone Age. This will either scare them to horror or make such an impression that they will want to figure it out. Most likely both options at the same time. Went along the tracks, found them earlier than expected, or they found him. Junseo walked along the tracks. The track became clearer, means he was approaching. Thought about what he would say at the meeting, although their language is surely different. Then heard, behind, a quick, almost professional rustle. Someone was moving toward him from behind, trying not to make noise. Turned around. 3 men, young, strong. Dark skin, thick black hair, clothing animal skins, roughly tanned. On their feet something like leather wraps. In their hands, spears. Wooden with stone tips. Sharp, pointed at Junseo. Faces tense. Not panic, not fear, hunting concentration. They had done this not for the first time. 2 more appeared from the side. Total 5 people in a semicircle. Junseo raised his hands, palms forward. Slowly. A gesture I am unarmed universal, I hope. One of the 3, obviously the eldest, slightly larger than the others, said something. Harsh language. Guttural. Words short. Junseo understood nothing, but the tone was understandable without translation. Stop! Do not move! He stood, hands up. The eldest took a step forward, looked evaluating. Junseo's clothing, jeans and shirt, clearly unfamiliar fabric, unfamiliar cut. Sneakers clearly not something they had seen before. The eldest said something again in a different tone. Question, possibly. Junseo tried. I am not an enemy, he said in Korean. I came peacefully. Nothing. Unfamiliar words, reaction 0. One of the 5, nervous young, moved the spear forward. Threatening gesture. Right now. If they attack system. But better not to bring it to an attack. Better to show earlier. Junseo very slowly, making sure the movement did not look aggressive, lowered his hands. Pointed at the stream next to them. It was 3 meters away, small, flowing. Pointed at the water. All 5 looked at his hand. At the water. Junseo looked at the water. Concentrated. System. Violate gravity for the water in the stream. Radius 2 meters. Vector vertically upward. Speed of rise slow. Visible. Cost 5 energy units. Yes. The water began to rise. Slowly. First the surface of the stream bulged like a glass dome, then stretched upward in a thin stream. Then the stream expanded. A column of water rose from the stream straight up. 1 meter, 1.5. All 5 froze. Absolute silence. Only the sound water rustled around the column, flowed back into the stream from the edges of the area of effect. The nervous young one dropped the spear. Not on purpose, just fingers unclenched. The eldest looked at the water. Junseo tried to read the expression on his face. Not fear, something deeper than fear? Something primordial from the very foundation of the human psyche. Awe. Junseo canceled the violation. The water fell back. Splashes. The stream flowed as before again. Silence. Then the eldest lowered the spear, slowly, pointed the tip down, not at Junseo, said something quietly. The other 4 also lowered their spears. A good start. They led him to the village. Not immediately, the eldest looked at Junseo for a long time, then at the water in the stream, then at him again. Thought. Junseo waited patiently. Then the eldest nodded to one of the young ones. That one ran forward. The rest stood on the sides of Junseo. Escort not aggressive, but obvious. Walked 20 minutes. The village opened at the edge of the forest by a small lake. 20-25 huts. Wooden bases, walls of branches and large leaves, roofs also of leaves. Rough but functional. On the shore of the lake, several boats. Hollowed out of wood, simple. People saw their group, came out to look. Women, children, old people, all in similar skins and leather items. Children hid behind adults, peeked out curiously. Total number Junseo quickly counted about 70 people, maybe 80. Reaction to him different. Children curiosity, women wariness, some led children inside. Men hand on weapon, waiting for a sign. Old people too looked differently, attentively, without immediate reaction. The eldest who found Junseo began to speak, loudly for the whole village, clearly telling what happened. Junseo did not understand the words, but the eldest pointed at the stream, made a gesture with hands upward. Described the water that rose. The village buzzed. Excitedly, loudly. One of the two old men came forward. Tall for his age, about 1.70 meters, gray hair, face in wrinkles, but eyes sharp, alive. On his neck a necklace of animal teeth and some stones. Shaman, or elder, or both. Approached Junseo at a distance of 2 meters. Looked for a long time, studying. Head slightly tilted, then raised his hand. Open palm toward Junseo, the same gesture that Junseo made at the meeting. He knows this gesture, or interprets it the same way as I do. Junseo answered with the same, open palm forward. The old man nodded, slowly, then said something one short sound, like an affirmation. Turned to the village, said something else longer, several words. The village calmed down. Did not disperse, but the tension dropped. The old man made a decision. The rest obeyed. Good. Now they will not kill immediately. Already progress. The old man's name Junseo heard how they addressed him, something similar to Uka. Or Uka was his title. Not important yet. Junseo called him to himself elder. The elder led him with gestures, very understandable to the center of the village. There, an open space, a fire pit. Almost the entire village gathered in a semicircle. Junseo understood that they were waiting from him. Another demonstration. They saw the water that flows upward from others' words. Now they want to see it themselves. Good. Demonstration. What to show? Need something understandable, visual, impossible, but not frightening to panic. Water already was. Repeat, but here, add something else. In the center of the fire pit, coals from the previous fire. Nearby wooden bowls with water, several pieces, brought specially someone prepared. Or this is ordinary dishes, not important. Junseo approached the fire pit, dropped to one knee next to the bowl of water. Everyone watched. Silence. Junseo took the bowl, raised it, showed to everyone. The water in the bowl ordinary, visible. Splashing. Put it back. System. Violate gravity for the water in the bowl. Vector up. Slowly. Cost. 3 units. The water from the bowl began to rise. Slowly in a thin stream, straight up from the open edge of the bowl. Rose half a meter, and there Junseo stopped the rise, but left the violation active. The stream of water hung vertically above the bowl. The village buzzed, louder than before. Children, some ran forward. Adults grabbed them by the hands. While the stream hung, Junseo approached it from the other side. Ran his hand through it. Water splashed to the sides. The stream scattered into drops, but then gathered again. Let them see that this is not a trick. Let them see that it can be touched. One of the men, that same nervous young one who dropped the spear, slowly approached, looked at the stream of water, looked back at the elder. He nodded. The young one carefully, with the tip of his finger, touched the stream. Water splashed. He pulled his hand back, looked at the wet finger, laughed. Nervous laugh, surprised but laughter. And this changed the atmosphere. Several others also laughed. Good. Fear goes away when you can touch. Junseo canceled the violation. The water fell back into the bowl, took another bowl. Now density. System. Violate the law of density for the water in this bowl. Increase density 10 times. Cost 6 units. Yes. The water in the bowl changed visually, became darker, thicker. Surface like mercury, slow. Junseo tilted the bowl. The water did not pour out. At a density 10 times higher than normal, the surface tension also changed. The water stayed in the bowl even when tilted. Junseo turned the bowl completely over. The water remained inside, as if glued. Shook the bowl. The water slowly, reluctantly flopped onto the ground. A heavy drop hit with a weighty sound. 10 times denser means 10 times heavier. A liter of such water would weigh 10 kilograms. The village watched all this in silence. Then the elder approached the ground where the drop fell, bent down, touched with his finger. Ordinary water density already canceled. Raised his gaze to Junseo, said one word, slowly with pauses. Junseo did not understand the word, but understood the meaning. Who are you? The third demonstration was unplanned. Junseo did not arrange it. It happened by itself. In the evening, when he was already assigned to an empty hut on the edge of the village, under clear observation of 2 guards in the village, it happened. Fire. Not big one of the central bonfires scattered. Burning coals rolled toward the nearest hut. The dry leaves of the roof caught fire quickly. Cries. Commotion. Residents rushed with bowls of water, with branches to beat down the fire. Junseo came out of the hut. The guards did not hold him. They themselves watched the fire. The fire small, but in a village of leaves and branches, it could spread quickly. Thermodynamics. Change in temperature. If I lower the temperature of the burning leaves below the combustion point, the fire will go out. Without water, without wind. It will simply go out. Area approximately 5 square meters of burning roof. Medium violation. System. Violate thermodynamics. Lower the temperature of the burning zone to 0 degrees. Area 5 square meters. Cost 18 energy units. Yes, the fire went out. Not slowly went out instantly, as if someone pulled oxygen and heat from under it at the same time. Smoke still came then, and it stopped. Residents stood with bowls of water in their hands, looked at the extinguished roof, then at Junseo. He stood 3 meters from the hut, hands down, nothing in his hands. He just looked and the fire went out. A young woman nearby, the one whose hut it was, dropped to her knees, quickly as if her legs bent by themselves. Said something quietly, quickly. Not to Junseo, to the ground. Prayer? Gratitude? The elder appeared from the crowd, approached Junseo, looked for a long time, then raised his hand, placed his palm on Junseo's shoulder. Said the same word as in the evening after the water, then added one more, and turned to the village, said something loudly. The village answered, all together one sound, like a ritual exclamation. I don't know what he said, thought Junseo, but it seems this was an important moment. Language study took 2 weeks, not because Junseo was a language genius, he was not, but methodicalness. Graduate student work ethic, structured approach to new information. The first 3 days he only listened. Only listened. Memorized words that were repeated often in understandable context. Water aqua sounded similar to them, but not quite. Ah, water. Fire die foodnum. Good v. Bad cur. Good. After 3 days he began to repeat. Pointed at an object, said the word he heard. If correct, they nodded to him. If not, corrected. The elder turned out to be a patient teacher. Every morning he came to Junseo's hut, sat, showed, spoke, repeated. The young one who dropped the spear, his name was something similar to Ratu, became a constant companion. Curious, kind, showed the village, household, tools. Spoke slower than others, apparently understood that Junseo poorly heard the difference between sounds. After 2 weeks, Junseo could explain himself, primitively, with gaps, like a child who learned the first 200 words. But enough for the main conversation. Evening. Bonfire in the center of the village. Elder, Junseo, Ratu, several more elders. The elder looked at the fire, then at Junseo. Who are you? He asked in his own way. Junseo already understood this question. I am from a distant place, said Junseo slowly, choosing words. Very far. Another. Did not know the word world. Another land. How did you come? Spirits brought. Junseo was not sure about the word. Spirits used the word wind in a figurative sense. It turned out approximately. The elder nodded. Accepted the explanation without questions in his picture of the world. Such apparently made sense. Are you a sorcerer? Asked the elder. Sorcerer Tavra. The word he learned on the 5th day. It was applied to the elder, means shaman or healer. Junseo thought. I know. The laws of water, fire, earth. I can. Speak with them. Change them. You are stronger than Uka, said the elder. Uka, his name or title, now clear shaman. Uka asks spirits. You command. Junseo did not answer. It was not a question. Why did you come to us? Asked Uka finally. I am alone, said Junseo simply. Alone is bad. Uka looked at the fire. What do you want from us? Here is the main question, Junseo thought. What do I want? To survive this is obvious. To become part of this society. But deeper something else. These people, they live as they lived thousands of years ago. Hunting, gathering, primitive tools. Diseases without treatment, hunger without supplies, cold without normal housing. I have a system. I have knowledge of a 21st century person. What can I give them? I want to help, said Junseo. How? Your children are sick, I know how to treat. Your food runs out in winter, I know how to store. Your houses are cold, I know how to build warm ones. Pause. I want your people to live better. Uka was silent for a long time. In exchange? "A place," said Junseo. "I will live here." The old man looked at him, then at the fire, then at Junseo again. "The Council of Elders will decide," he said. "Tomorrow morning." In the morning, 7 people sat in a large hut. Uka, 6 elders, all elderly men. Serious faces. Junseo was brought in, seated in the center. Spoke for a long time among themselves. Junseo understood about half, approximately. Arguments against him. He is a stranger. We do not know where from. His sorcery may be evil. Spirits of evil sorcerers bring diseases. If we accept him, other tribes will ask. Will say that we are weak. What if he wants to seize the tribe? Arguments for he stopped the fire. Without water, Mata's hut is intact. Water that flows upward is the power of gods, not evil spirits. He is alone. One person is not a threat. Uka was silent while others spoke, then raised his hand. Everyone fell silent, said a few words briefly, looked at Junseo. "We decide this way," he said slowly so that Junseo understood. "You will stay, but prove that your power is good." Pause. "We have a sick child. Has been sick for 3 days, does not eat, burns." Pause. "If you cure him, you are ours. If not, or if it gets worse, you will leave." Sick child. 3 days of fever. In the conditions of the Stone Age, it could be anything. Infection, parasite, dehydration from heat. Junseo has no medicine, no antibiotics, nothing. But there is thermodynamics. Heat is high body temperature. If I lower the child's body temperature to normal, the fever will go away. The organism will get a chance to fight the infection on its own. But this is not treatment of the disease. This is removal of the symptom. If the disease is serious, the fever will return. I will do what I can. "Show me the child," said Junseo. The hut of the young woman the very same. Mata, whose hut he had saved from the fire. The child, a boy 3 or 4 years old, lay on a bedding of skins, face red, breathed frequently, shallowly, eyes half open, cloudy. The fever was obvious. Mata stood at the entrance, looked at Junseo. Junseo lowered himself next to the child, carefully placed his palm on the forehead. Very hot, probably 39-40 degrees. System. Smoothly lower the child's body temperature by 2 degrees. Slowly, a sharp drop can cause shock. Violation of thermodynamics, local lowering of temperature of a biological object. Caution, living organism. The violation must be smooth. Cost 12 energy units, confirm? Yes, slowly. 10 minutes to lower by 2 degrees. Nothing visible happened. But after a few minutes, the boy stopped breathing so frequently. A little, barely noticeably. After 10 minutes, the forehead became cooler. Not cold normal. Warm as it should be for a healthy child. The boy opened his eyes clear, looked at Junseo, did not get scared, just looked. Then turned to his mother, said something weakly but clearly. Mata stepped inside, lowered herself next to her son, grabbed his hand, looked at Junseo. In her eyes, something that did not require translation. Junseo nodded. "He needs water," he said. "A lot of water, clean, and food. Soft." He chose words. "He is weak, need to do it slowly." Mata nodded quickly, understood every word. "The fever is removed, but the disease is unknown. Tomorrow it may return. Need to monitor. Every few hours check the temperature, lower it if needed, until the organism copes on its own." He left the hut. Uka waited outside, looked at Junseo. "The child?" he asked. "The fever has passed," said Junseo. "I will check." Every. Did not know the word hour. Every sun on a palm. Showed with a gesture the sun moved the width of a palm. Approximately an hour. Uka looked, then nodded. "Good," he said, and added one word. The same one he had said twice before. Now Junseo understood it. Tavra sorcerer, but with a different intonation than when he spoke about himself. He says great sorcerer, or a real sorcerer, something like that. After 3 days, the boy was completely healthy. A month passed. Junseo lived in the village. His own hut a little better than the first, improved by Junseo himself. He explained to Ratu how to weave branches more densely. The walls held the wind better. The language was already sufficient for normal conversation. Not perfect, with mistakes, but understandable. In a month, several demonstrations. Not specially arranged, random ones when help was needed. Helped a hunter, he broke his leg, fell from a tree. Junseo removed the pain by changing the temperature of the nerve endings. A subtle pinpoint violation cost expensive 15 units. But the hunter lay and screamed, and looking at it was impossible. Then explained how to make splints from branches. The leg healed. Helped with water in the dry period, the stream became shallow. Junseo violated the water pressure in the underground layer near the village. The water went a little stronger. A little but enough. Showed how to make fish traps not through the system, just with knowledge. Woven traps are lowered into the lake. The fish enters but does not exit. The first time when they brought a full trap, the village rejoiced like children. They had never seen such a simple method. Everything I know from basic biology, chemistry, physics here is revolutionary. But the most important event occurred on the 32nd day. Strangers came. Another tribe from the north, 20 men, armed. Came not in peace. Junseo understood this by how the village began to run around. Uka, all the men took weapons. Ratu explained quickly. Neighboring tribe, Hari, enemies for a long time. Come sometimes, take away food, drive away people. Raid. Junseo stood at his hut, looked. 20 armed people against approximately 15 adult men of the village. The ratio is bad. Can leave. This is not his war. The system does not give weapons, does not make him a warrior. But they will kill people. Take away food. The child of Meta, whom he cured. No. He went out. 20 Hari warriors stood at the edge of the village. Their leader shouted something toward the village. Demanded. Saw Junseo. Unfamiliar person. Different clothing. Exchanged glances. Junseo walked past his own. They parted and stood between the village and the Hari warriors. 20 people look at one. The Hari leader said something, tone mocking. Junseo did not understand their language. Not important. Looked at the ground between him and the warriors. There, grass, dry, small stones. System. Violate gravity all stones on the ground in a radius of 15 meters. Raise them to a height of 2 meters. Slowly. Cost 20 energy units. Yes. The stones began to rise. There were many dozens, small and medium. Rose slowly from all sides at once, as if the earth was giving them to the sky. The Hari warriors fell silent. The stones hung in the air at a height of 2 meters. A semicircle of flying stones between Junseo and the warriors. Silence. Now the next. System. Violate inertia. The stones receive a directed impulse away from the warriors, not into the warriors next to them. Demonstrative. Cost 8 energy units. Yes. Several stones flew. Quickly, horizontally whistled past the extreme warriors, hit the trees behind them. Sharp sound, splinters from the tree. The warriors recoiled. Not all, but several took a step back. The Hari leader looked at Junseo. Junseo raised his hand. The remaining hanging stones all together turned, pointed their tips toward the warriors. Hung like that without moving, simply directed. I can send them, at any moment, and you see it. The Hari leader looked at the stones, at Junseo, again at the stones, said something to his own quietly. The warriors began to retreat. Slowly, saving face, they did not run, but left. The leader last. Looked at Junseo. In his eyes something, not fear, understanding. That here there is a force which he does not understand. They left. Junseo lowered his hand. The stones slowly descended to the ground. Turned around. The village stood. 15 armed men, women, children all looked at him. No one spoke. Then Uka slowly, with dignity, approached Junseo. Stopped a step from him. Removed from his neck the necklace, the very same, of teeth and stones, which he wore always, which by all signs was a symbol of his status. Extended it to Junseo. Junseo looked at the necklace. He is giving his symbol of power. Uka, said Junseo. This is yours. It was mine, said the old man calmly. Now it is yours. Turned to the village. Said something loudly, clearly. Several words. The village answered all together. The same ritual sound that Junseo heard on the first evening, but now louder, and directed at him. Ratu stood nearby, translated in a whisper, although Junseo already understood himself. Uka says, whispered Ratu, the spirit sent us a leader. That same night, Junseo did not sleep, lay in the hut, looked at the ceiling leaves, branches, darkness. Leader. I am 28 years old. I am a graduate student of the physics department. I was crossing the road on a green light and died. Now I am the leader of a tribe numbering 73 people in a Stone Age world. Thought for a long time. What does it mean to be a good leader here? Not in the sense of power he already has. The system gives it automatically. In the sense of responsibility, these people live badly. Objectively badly by any standards. Child mortality is high. He had already seen 2 small graves at the edge of the village. Food in winter is not enough, Ratu told. Diseases are treated with herbs and prayers. Sometimes helps. Often not. I have 2 tools. The system of violating physics and the knowledge of a 21st century person. Question: where to start? Maslow's pyramid basic needs. Food, water, safety, then everything else means food first. In the morning he gathered the elders, all 7. Uka too, he remained the main advisor despite the transfer of the necklace, and Junseo was fine with that. Experience and knowledge of local realities are priceless? Winter is coming, said Junseo. How much food do we have? The elders exchanged glances. One answered for 2 months. Maybe for 3 if we save. Is winter longer than 3 months? Sometimes 4, said Uka. Sometimes 5. Means bad? Silence. They knew it. Just did not say it out loud. I need to know everything, said Junseo. Where you get food. What grows, what does not grow. Where you hunt. What happens in winter. The conversation took the whole morning. By noon, Junseo had the picture. The tribe lived by hunting and gathering. Agriculture, none at all. They did not know about it. They made supplies, but primitively, dried meat and berries in the sun. A lot spoiled. Stored in pits, but the pits are not insulated. Moisture penetrated. Starting with agriculture is early. This is a long-term project. Need seeds, need knowledge of agronomy, which Junseo does not have in details. Need a season. But preservation, this can be started immediately, and the system will help. Junseo chose a place in the north of the village, in the shade of a large tree. Asked the men to dig a pit. Deep 2 meters, wide 3 by 3. Looked uncomprehendingly, but dug. The authority of the leader worked. When they dug, Junseo examined. The earth at a depth of 2 meters was cool. This was already better, but needs to be colder. Storage temperature about 0 for meat. System. But spending energy constantly on cooling the pit is wasteful. Need a physical solution. Salt. Is there salt here? Ratu. Is there salt? Ratu thought. To the east a day's walk. White stone, bitter. We add to food little, rarely take. Salt. Rock salt. A day's walk. Salt is a preservative. Salt plus a cold pit is significantly better. Tomorrow we go for salt, said Junseo. But first the pit. Asked to line the walls of the pit with stones. There are flat ones by the lake. Tightly, without gaps as much as possible. While the men carried stones, Junseo thought. Physical solution for cold without the system not ready. No technologies, no ice nearby. We use the system but smartly. Not constantly keep cold, but create conditions under which the pit itself holds low temperature longer. Water at low density ice. If I change the density of water in the walls of the pit, they will freeze. Frozen ground itself will hold cold for a long time. When the stones were laid, Junseo lowered himself into the pit. System. Violate the density of water in the ground around this pit radius half a meter from the walls. Depth all. Increase density to the state of ice. Cost. 35 energy units major violation. Large volume. Yes. Felt how the air in the pit changed. Became colder. The walls Junseo touched the stone cold. Very cold. Rose to the top. Outside plus 25 warm day, below about 0. The men looked as he climbed out. Junseo gestured, invited Ratu first. Ratu descended. After a second, his head appeared at the top. Surprised face. Cold, he said. Like winter. The rest climbed to look one by one. Uka, too. Descended, stood, rose. Looked at Junseo. You made winter in the pit, he said. Yes, pause. We will put meat there. Meat in the cold does not spoil for a long time, Uka thought. How many days does meat last in the cold? Many, said Junseo. Very many. He himself was not sure how much without antiseptics, without vacuum. But with salt and cold a month for sure. Maybe 2. Let's show the people, said Uka. Let's show his favorite word. The old man understood. People believe what they see. They brought a piece of meat from yesterday's hunt, lowered it into the pit. After a day, took it out. Fresh, as if just now. Mata the very same, mother of the boy, smelled the meat, touched it, looked at Junseo. Sorcery, she said. Knowledge, answered Junseo. The trip for Salt 2 days, there and back. Junseo, Ratu, 4 young hunters. Salt deposits on the eastern slope of low hills. White outcrops of rock. Rock salt dirtyish. Gray, but salt. Took a lot filled all the bags they brought. On the way back, Junseo thought, salt plus cold pit, this is a month. Maybe 1.5. But need more. Need a preservation system for 3 to 4 months. For the whole winter. Smoking, I know the theory. Smoke kills bacteria, creates a protective layer. Together with salt, meat is stored 3 to 4 months without a refrigerator. They have fire. Need only to organize correctly. Returned on the 4th day. Junseo first of all explained the smokehouse. Not complicated, a pit in the ground, fire below, meat hung above, closed on top with skins so the smoke does not escape. Hold for a day. Made a trial batch 5 pieces of meat. Salted, hung over the smoke. The next day tried. Taste unusual for the tribe. They did not know smoked. Chewed, exchanged glances. One elder grimaced. Ratu ate with enthusiasm. Tasty, he announced. Different taste, but good. After a week, the whole village was making smoked meat. Supplies began to grow. The dry season began a month after Junseo became leader. The stream became completely shallow. The lake became lower, not critical but visible. The tribe went for water farther. Children got tired of carrying heavy pots. Junseo studied the terrain. Underground waters exist, otherwise the stream would not appear again after the last dry season. Means water is there, just deep. A well is the ideal solution, but digging a deep well without tools takes weeks. System water pressure. I did this before, weekly, can strengthen. Found a place where the grass was a little greener in the driest period. Sign of close underground water. Asked the men to start digging. Not deep, 1.5 meters. When they dug damp earth at the bottom, water close. System. Violate the pressure of underground waters at this point. Increase pressure, the water should rise to the level of the bottom of the well. Cost, 22 energy units. Yes. The earth at the bottom of the pit began to darken, become damp. Then water appeared. Slowly, but unstoppable. Rose to the middle of the pit. Ratu, who stood nearby, looked down. Water! He shouted joyfully. It came by itself. Lowered a clay jug into the pit on a rope. Took out full, drank, made big eyes, clean. The village came to look. A well with water in the middle of the village. This means not carrying heavy pots to the lake and back. This means water nearby always. Uka stood at the edge of the well, looked into the water. You made the water rise from the earth, he said. The earth presses on the water, explained Junseo. I told the earth to press harder. The water rose. Uka nodded. Understood not the physics, understood the result. Before we prayed to the gods of rain, said the old man. Sometimes it helped, sometimes not. Now a well, said Junseo. Always helps. The first frost came after 2 months, light morning ones, but huts of leaves and thin branches held heat poorly. Junseo knew what was needed. Clay, by the lake enough. Viscous, yellow. Adobe bricks clay mixed with grass and straw, dried in the sun. The simplest building material. No tools needed, no technology needed. Only hands and sun needed. Showed how to make. Took clay, added dried grass, mixed, molded a rectangle, placed to dry in the sun, day 2, 3. The brick hard. Not like real fired, but holds shape, does not crumble. Ratu made 10, then 20, called others. After a week, several hundred bricks lay in rows drying in the sun. Walls Junseo showed how to lay. Row of bricks, layer of liquid clay like cement, another row. Banding each next row shifted by half a brick. Elementary masonry. The first house was built by the whole village. Small, trial, 3 by 3 meters, 1 room. Roof for now leaves but on thick wooden rafters. Finished in 4 days. Uka entered inside. Stood. Came out. Cold wind does not pass, he said, surprised. Clay does not let wind through. Our huts let it through. Yes, Uka thought. How many such houses can be made? As many as needed, said Junseo. Clay is plenty. Hands are enough. Time needed 2 months for the whole village. 2 months before strong frosts if they happen here. Maybe we will make it. We made it. Not all houses, 12 out of 24. The rest were finished at the beginning of winter. The first winter in the new houses was different. Not warm heating system, not yet invented, but not so terrible. Without wind through the walls, without frost on the inner surface of the hut in the morning, mortality from cold 0. For the first time in many winters, said Uka. Winter is long, hunting difficult. Snow not deep, but animal tracks left open places. But supplies. Smoked meat in the cold pit, dried fruits, salt. People have nothing to do on long winter evenings. Junseo used this time. Every evening gathered the youth. Ratu, another 5 young hunters. Spoke. Not about the system, about knowledge. About how the world is arranged. Started with simple why water flows down. Gravity explained as a force that pulls everything to the earth. They did not know the word, did not know the concept, but understood the essence, then why fire burns. Wood, air, heat, 3 components. Remove one, fire goes out. Therefore pouring water works, water removes heat. Then why people get sick? Not evil spirits, tiny creatures which are not visible. Live in dirty water, in unwashed hands, and rotting food. Get into the body, a person gets sick. This was a revolution. Ratu listened with open mouth. Not spirits, he asked again? Little creatures? Very small. Smaller than the tip of a hair? Thousands of such on one spot of dirt? You saw? Saw, lied Junseo. He knew the theory, never saw microbes personally. But in this context, truth is more important than details. Therefore, wash hands before eating. Drink clean water. Cook meat on fire. Fire kills the little creatures. Uka says spirits of diseases live in rotten water, said Ratu. Uka is right, said Junseo. Just the spirits are called differently. Called little enemies. Ratu thought for a long time. Means when we wash hands, we kill little enemies? Yes. And therefore do not get sick? Yes. Ratu stood up, looked at his hands with a new expression. I will go wash my hands, he said seriously. The rest of the young also stood up. All went to wash hands. Junseo looked after them. This is the beginning. Small, unnoticeable, but the beginning. Spring came warm, the village different. Clay houses, well, supplies that survived the winter and still remained. People fuller, healthier. Children died in winter too from a disease which Junseo could not recognize. Before 5 or 6 died. But the Hari returned. Not 2040. With women, children, old people, the whole tribe. Walked not secretly openly along the road to the village. Junseo stood at the edge of the village. Ratu next with a spear. 40 people. This is not a raid, this is resettlement, or surrender. The Hari leader, the same as last time, stopped 10 meters away, looked at Junseo, then slowly lowered the spear to the ground. In front of himself, tipped down. Ritual gesture, Junseo already knew it. Sign of peace, sometimes submission. The Hari people behind him too. Spears to the ground. One child from the Hari fell. Not from fatigue, legs gave way. Mother caught. The child's face red. Fever. That is why they came. Junseo looked at the child, at the Hari leader. The leader looked at him. Without words, just looked. He had heard about the healing. Tribes communicate, rumors travel fast even without the internet. He came not to conquer, he came to ask for help. Junseo took a step forward. Went around the leader, approached the mother with the child, lowered to one knee. Looked at the child, a girl about 5 years old. Fever serious, stronger than it was with Mata's boy. System. Lower the child's body temperature by 2 degrees. Slowly. Cost 12 units. Yes. After a few minutes, the girl opened her eyes, looked at Junseo. Mother said something. Not in the village language in her own, but the tone the same in any language. The Hari leader stood behind Junseo's back, looked. Junseo stood up, turned around, looked at each other. This person came with weapons, came again with a sick child and without weapons. He has no choice. I have. Junseo extended his hand, palm up. Open hand as the first time with Uka. The Hari leader looked at the palm, at Junseo, placed his hand on top. The unification was not instantaneous. 2 weeks of tension. Men of the 2 tribes looked at each other with squint. Old grudges are not forgotten in 2 weeks. One incident fight of 2 young men from different tribes. Over nothing, someone touched someone with a shoulder. Junseo stopped, stood between them. Not with words, just stood. Sent both men to dig the expansion of the well. Together. By evening, they dug silently but next to each other. After 2 days, they talked. Joint labor works better than speeches about peace. Junseo gave joint tasks intentionally. Construction of new houses for the Hari together, hunting together, smoking meat from the catch together, mixed people, did not let them group. Ratu turned out to be an unexpected helper. Curious, without malice, he was the first to start teaching the young Hari the language of the village. With pleasure, like a game. After a month, children of the two tribes played together. Children do not know old grudges. The village became a tribe of 89 people, not counting children. Working hands almost twice as many. Construction accelerated. New houses faster, supplies more. The first big test of the system came unexpectedly. Steppe fire. Summer dry. Grass dried up. Somewhere lightning or campfire of another tribe, or just heat caught fire. Fire came from the north. Visible from a day away, smoke rose high, black column. By evening glow. By night audible. Crackle and rumble. Junseo stood at the edge of the village. Looked at the approaching fire. Front of the fire 1.5 kilometers wide. Moves quickly wind in our direction. The village clay houses do not burn, but roofs of leaves, supplies, tools, we will lose everything. And the field next to the village where they just planted the first crop will burn. What can I do with the fire through the system? Thermodynamics lower the temperature. But the front 1.5 kilometers is a huge area. The cost will be exorbitant. Energy will not be enough. Gravity will not help. Fire is not an object with mass. Wind is movement of air. Inertia, movement of objects. If I change the inertia of the air near the village, I will change the direction of the wind locally. The wind now from the north carries the fire to us. If locally in the radius of my zone I change the direction of the wind to the opposite, create a counterflow, the fire will slow down at the village. It may stop. But the system's area of effect is 10 meters basic. It has grown over months of training to 20. 20 meters is not 1.5 kilometers. Think. Counterfire. Burn the grass between the village and the fire toward the wildfire. Counterfire deprives the main fire of fuel. When two fronts meet, both go out. Without the system, it is risky. May not have time, the wind may change. With the system, I change the direction of the wind locally at the right moment. Junseo turned around. "Everyone listen," he shouted. "Ratu, take 10 people, torches. You go with me to the north. We will burn the grass." Ratu looked. "We set fire ourselves? There is already fire there." "Yes, counterfire. I will explain on the way." "Quickly." They ran, went out of the village 500 meters to the dry field. The big fire is visible a kilometer from them. The roar is heard, the heat is felt. "Set fire here." Junseo showed a line in the grass, horizontally, so that the fire goes toward that one. "Our fire will go back to the village," said one of the men. "It will not," said Junseo. "I will tell the wind." They looked at him. "Set fire. Trust me." They set fire. The grass caught quickly, dry. Small front, 30 meters wide. The wind blew from the north, carried the counterfire straight to the village. Now, system. Violate the inertia of the air in a radius of 20 meters from me. Change the direction of the wind from southern to northern. Maximum force. Cost 25 units. Yes, the wind around Junseo changed sharply. Now blew from the south against the main flow. The counterfire turned, began to move north toward the main fire. Slowly, then faster. Two fires went toward each other, met. Explosion of heat, a wave of heat hit even here 500 meters away. Everyone retreated, covered their faces. Then the fire began to go out. Where the two fronts met, there is no fuel. Neither on that side nor on the other burned earth. The fire was dying out. Not completely at the edges, it still burned. But the central strike on the village was stopped. The squad stood, looked. Ratu slowly turned to Junseo. "You spoke with the wind," he said. "Yes, the wind listens to you." "Sometimes," said Junseo. Ratu looked at him for a long time. "You are not just a sorcerer," he said quietly. "You are something else." He is the only one who sometimes asks the right questions. "Let's go back," said Junseo. "The village is intact, need to check." The second year began with a census. Junseo sat with Ratu and counted. Everyone. Men, women, children, old people. 123 people. They grew. The United Tribe plus several families from the surrounding areas came themselves, heard about the village where they do not starve in winter. 123 people, this is no longer a small tribe. This is the beginning of a village. Almost. For the first year achievements, cold pit for meat storage, smoking, salt, well, clay houses, counterfire, unification of 2 tribes, reduction of child mortality from 6 per winter to 2. Shortcomings huge. No agriculture, no metal, no writing, no systematic medicine. Priorities of the second year. First, agriculture. This is the basis of everything. A stable source of food independent of hunting. Second, ceramics. They already know how to make simple pots, but poorly, not durable. Need firing. Third, metal. This is a big jump, but copper can be found in natural form without smelting. Started with agriculture, problem seeds. Junseo knew the principle of agriculture, did not know the local crops which plants from this world are edible and amenable to cultivation. Need to find himself. Took Ratu and 2 women from the Hari, they knew the wild plants better. Walked 3 days around the surroundings, found 7 types of wild plants with edible grains or fruits. Junseo selected, looked at the plants. Looked for signs that he knew from the basic course of agronomy which he once listened to at an open lecture. Tall ones better, large grains better, many fruits on one plant better. Found 2 candidates, one similar to wild millet, small grains, many on the stem, grows by water. The second wide leaves, large fruit similar to a pumpkin. Climbs trees, millet grain crop, basis of nutrition. Pumpkin vegetable, variety of diet and stores well. Collected seeds a lot. Returned. Cleared the field next to the village. Men worked several days without metal tools hard. Wooden hoes, stone axes. The system can be used to facilitate work. Showed violation of inertia. A heavy stone with violation of its inertia can be moved without effort. Lever principle, a small expenditure of the system, allows shifting large stones. Clearing accelerated. Planted the seeds. Now wait. And water. Watering the well will not be enough. Need irrigation from the lake. Canal 3 days to dig. Not difficult, shallow, just direct the water. But the water needs to be raised. The field is higher than the level of the lake. A little, half a meter. But water itself will not flow upward. System. The system for constant change. I will not spend expensive. Need a mechanical solution. Water wheel, no mechanics, no precise wood processing. Archimedes screw too complicated without metal. Shadow, this is realistic. Lever with counterweight raises water with a bucket. Egyptians invented it 5,000 years ago. Here it can be made from wood and stone. Showed how to make. Long wooden pole, fulcrum, bucket at one end, heavy stone counterweight at the other. One person lowers the bucket into the lake, the counterweight raises the full bucket almost without effort. Pours into the canal. Ratu tried. Raised a full bucket of water with one hand, easily. Laughed. The stone works instead of me. This is called a lever, said Junseo. Knowledge how to make a stone work. Ratu looked at the shadoof. You know many such things? Yes, will you teach? I will teach, everyone. Gradually, Ratu is the first candidate for teacher. Curious, grasps quickly, respected by the youth of the tribe. The millet sprouted after 2 weeks, the pumpkin later after a month. The tribe watched the field with interest. Not everyone understood what was happening. Why plant when you can collect what grows by itself? Uka understood first. You teach the earth, he said to Junseo. Before we ask the earth to give us food, you tell it where to grow and how much. Roughly so, agreed Junseo. This is better than asking. Much. The harvest of the first year is small. The field is small, no experience. Part of the seeds did not sprout, but part sprouted. This was enough to save the best seeds for the next year and add a little to the winter supplies. More important, people saw, planted grew. A crop grew that you could not just find in the forest. The concept got into the heads. The next year they asked to expand the field, themselves. Without persuasion. Pots from unfired clay broke, cracked from heating. Junseo knew the solution: firing. A pot in fire at high temperature becomes hard as stone. Problem: the temperature of an ordinary campfire is insufficient for quality firing. Needs 700 to 800 degrees. Ordinary open fire 400 to 500 maximum. Pottery kiln closed space accumulates heat. But building a kiln without refractory brick is difficult. Or the system. Built a simple kiln pit in the ground, closed on top with large flat stones. Inside pots. Fire from below. System. Violate thermodynamics raise the temperature inside the kiln to 700 degrees. Maintain for 3 hours. Cost 15 units per hour. Total 45 units expensive, but once for demonstration. Yes, 3 hours the kiln is red hot. From outside it is felt even through the stones. Opened carefully. Pots reddish brown, hard. Tapped with a finger they ring. Real ceramics. The women who made the pots took them, turned in their hands, tapped, listened to the sound. The old craftswoman, about 50 years old, the best potter of the tribe, looked at the pot. Then at Junseo. The fire inside was different, she said. Not like usual. She felt the difference. The fire was stronger, said Junseo. If the fire is stronger, the clay becomes hard. How to make the fire stronger without you? The right question, the best question. Need to build another kiln, said Junseo. Completely closed. Small hole at the bottom for air, small at the top for smoke. Inside the heat accumulates. Not as strong as now, but better than open fire. Explained. She listened attentively. The next day she was already building a new kiln. Herself, according to his description. The first attempt not ideal. Pots better than unfired, but not like with the system. The second attempt changed the shape of the kiln. Better. The third even better. She experiments, improves. This is real progress. Not when I do it through the system. When they learn to do it themselves. In the second year it became obvious that Ratu is special. Not in the sense of the system, he did not have the system and never would. In another sense, smart, observant, saw connections that others did not notice. When Junseo explained the lever, Ratu asked, "And can you make a lever that turns instead of lifting?" That was the wheel, almost. When they talked about diseases, Ratu asked, "If little enemies live in dirty water, maybe they live in the air too?" That was a question about airborne infection, which Junseo confirmed. "Where do you know what to ask the right questions?" said Junseo once. Ratu thought. "You say that the world works by rules," he said. "If there is a rule for water, there is a rule for air. If there is a lever for lifting, there is a lever for turning." Pause. I just look for the same rules in different things. He discovered the scientific method himself, at 20 years old, without education. Junseo looked at him. "Ratu?" "Yes?" "I will teach you everything I know." "Everything?" "Everything," confirmed Junseo. "This will take many years. But you will understand, and then teach others." Ratu looked at him seriously. "Why?" he asked. "You yourself can do all this. Why teach me?" "The right question." "Because I am mortal," said Junseo. "One day I will not be, and knowledge must remain." Ratu thought for a long time. "Good," he said finally. "Teach." In the third year a man came, one on foot from the west. Carried a trade bag, skins, stones for tools. Trader, solitary from a distant tribe. Junseo talked with him through Ratu. By that time he knew several trade gestures common to different tribes. The trader saw the village. Clay houses, well, millet field, looked with wide open eyes. Then pulled out a piece of green stone from the bag. Extended to Junseo, malachite, copper ore. Junseo's heart quickened. Copper. Metal. The beginning of metallurgy. "Where did you take it?" he asked through Ratu. The trader showed the direction. West, 2 days' journey. There, green stones in the river. Many. "Can you lead us there?" The trader looked. Negotiations, Ratu helped. In the end, they agreed. For skins and a supply of smoked meat, the trader leads the group to the place. The copper deposit turned out better than expected. Not ore in the rock, native copper, and pieces in the riverbed. Green from oxidation outside, but metal. Junseo took a piece. Heavy, soft. Copper melts at 1083 degrees. Without a special kiln, you cannot get it. But native copper can be forged cold. It is soft with a stone you can give shape. Cold forging technique that people used before the invention of smelting. This is not bronze and not iron, but metal. Sharper than stone, stronger than bone. Took with them as much as they could carry. In the village, Junseo sat with several men. Showed, you take a stone, hit the copper, it flattens, bends, takes shape. Slowly, patiently forged the first copper knife. Rough, uneven, but sharper than any stone one. The senior hunter took the knife, tried the blade with his finger, cut himself, laughed not from pain, from delight. ran the knife along a wooden post, a long splinter. With a stone axe, such did not work. Greenstone is better than gray, he said simply. Yes, agreed Junseo, much. In the third year, Junseo began teaching writing. Not immediately at first thought for a long time. Writing is a revolution. Knowledge that cannot be transmitted orally accurately can be written down. Laws, recipes, maps, history. But inventing writing from scratch is difficult. I know Korean, English alphabets. Do not fit sounds are different. Need a system suitable for their language. Pictographs simplest. A drawing means a word, then a drawing means a sound. Gradual evolution. Started simply with symbols for frequently used things. Circle with a dot sun, day. Wavy line water, triangle mountain. Showed to Ratu. These are signs that replace words, said Junseo. Signs that replace words, repeated Ratu. Looked at the drawings on a piece of bark. How? Look. Junseo drew a wavy line. What is this? Water. Correct. Now I draw this here. Drew on another piece of bark. You see and know that I am saying water. Without words, without voice. Ratu looked at the two pieces of bark. One drew the other red, he said slowly. Yes, even if there are many days' journey between them. Even if one of them died, said Junseo, the sign remains. The word lives longer than a person. Ratu fell silent, looked at the wavy line for a long time. This is important, he said finally. Not a question understood immediately. This is the most important of everything I will show you, said Junseo. More important than the well, more important than the copper knife, more important than winter supplies. Because the sign stores everything else. In 3 months, 50 symbols. Not an alphabet, yet pictographs. Each symbol a word or concept. Sun, moon. Water, fire, earth. Man, animal, food, cold, heat, disease, death, life, enemy, friend, tribe, leader, hunting, field, house, and numbers. Junseo introduced the decimal system. Sticks 1, 2, 3 up to 9. Circle 0. Stick with a circle 10. 0 was a revolution in itself. Ratu understood 0 immediately. 0 is when there is nothing, he said. Yes, before we said no or empty. Now emptiness has a sign. Now you can count with 0. You can write large numbers. Ratu took a stick of charcoal, began to write numbers on a piece of bark. 1, 2, 3, 10, 20, 100. Stopped. 100 houses, he said. 100 hunters. 100 winters. 1,000, said Junseo. You can write 1,000. And more? You can write as much as you want. Ratu wrote, did not stop. Numbers grew. Face concentrated, like a child who discovered that the game is endless. This moment when a person first feels the infinity of number is one of the most important moments in the development of the mind. Junseo looked at him. Ratu is not just learning. Ratu is already thinking like a scientist. He is 22 years old and has no education, but he has what is more important than education. He has the ability to be surprised. The idea came from Ratu. Signs on bark get lost, he said once. Bark rots, tears, fire eats. Yes, agreed Junseo. Thought about this stone, clay, bone, durable materials. And on the wall of the house? Asked Ratu. Clay is hard. If you draw on a clay wall with charcoal, does it hold for a long time? It holds, but rain will wash it away. If you press the sign into wet clay and then fire the wall? Ratu had just invented cuneiform. Junseo looked at him. This works, he said slowly. I tried, said Ratu, modestly without triumph. Here. Extended a piece of fired clay, flat, small. On it pressed symbols, even, clear. Symbol of water, symbol of man, symbol of the number 3, 3 people by water. This is a record about hunting, explained Ratu. 3 hunters went to the river. Junseo held the clay tablet in his hands. The first written record of this tribe. 3 hunters by the river. This will enter history. If this world has a history, Ratu, he said quietly. Yes? Make many more such tablets, and write down everything you know. Everything I told you. Everything you understood yourself. Why? Because knowledge that lives only in one head dies with the head. Pause, write it down, and teach others to write. Ratu looked at the tablet in Junseo's hands. I will start today, he said. In the third year, Junseo felt the limit. Not physical system 1. One evening, after a difficult day helped drain a swampy area next to the field, by changing the direction of groundwater, opened the system interface. Energy, 18 over 100. 18. Spent 82 units in one day? Before this did not happen. Before it was enough. Thought. Tasks grow. Tribe bigger needs bigger. Irrigation, firing, drainage, treatment all require the system. But the system is not rubber. 100-unit ceiling. Recovery slow. I am starting to depend on the system too strongly. Instead of teaching people to do it themselves, I solve everything myself. This is wrong. Rose. Went out of the hut. Night quiet. Stars unfamiliar. The village slept dark contours of clay houses, weak light of one campfire at the entrance. 123 people depend on me. No worse, they depend on my system. I became a crutch. If I die tomorrow, what will remain? Houses that they know how to build. Supplies that they know how to make. Well that they know how to clean. Field that they know how to water. This is good. This they can without me, but firing ceramics at the right temperature, no. Drainage of swamps, no. Medical help with fever, no. I have not passed on enough. I did too much myself. Return to the hut. Lay down. Strategy changes. From tomorrow, the system only when there is no other option. Everything else we teach to do with hands. In the morning, went to the potter. The old craftswoman, her name was Nima, sat by her kiln. Small, improved compared to the first. Worked molding the walls of a new pot. Nima, said Junseo, show how your kiln burns. She was surprised but showed. Lit the fire. Closed the lid. Heavy flat stone. Waited. After an hour opened. Pot's better than unfired, but not ideal. How much air from below? Asked Junseo. Gap here, she showed. Small. Too small. Draft. More air from below, hotter combustion. Elementary physics. Make the gap wider, said Junseo. Twice. The kiln will crumble. Strengthen the edges with stones. Nima looked, then began to redo. Without the system, without Junseo's help with her own hands. The next firing better, even wider, said Junseo. It will crumble completely. Try. It crumbled. Nima looked irritably at Junseo. I told you. Now you know the limit, he said calmly. Make it a little less than it crumbled. Nima understood. Found the boundary herself. The third version of the kiln gave temperature almost like with the system. Not ideal, but enough for good ceramics, without a unit of system energy. This is progress, 4th year. Junseo made a decision that changed everything. We need a school, he said at the Council of Elders. What is a school? Asked one elder. A place where children learn every day. Not hunting fathers teach hunting. Something else. Signs, numbers, rules of the world. Children should help with food, said another elder. Why waste time on signs? Because a child who knows numbers will count supplies more accurately. A child who knows the rules of disease will not infect the family. A child who knows how a lever is arranged will make a tool better than a stone one. Silence. Uka sat quietly, listened, then said, When you came, I did not know these words. Numbers, signs, rules of the world. Now I know. Did I become a better leader? Worse? The elders were silent. Better, said one finally. Children should learn, concluded Uka. The leader decided correctly. The school is a large hut, specially built. Ratu, the first teacher. Every morning, children from 6 to 12 years old. 2 hours, then free. First lesson symbols. Ratu drew on a large flat clay slab with a charcoal stick. This is water, he said. Wavy line, repeat. 15 children drew on small pieces of bark, diligently with tongues out. This is fire. Sharp triangle. Junseo stood at the entrance. Observed. Ratu teaches, not me, Ratu. Without the system, without violation of physics. Just a person transmits knowledge to another person. This is civilization. One boy about 8 years old, son of a hunter from the Hari, could not remember the symbol of water. Drew incorrectly, got upset. Ratu approached him. Sat next. Took his hand, drew the symbol together. Water flows, said Ratu. The line also flows, in waves, like water in a stream. The boy drew. Correctly. Beamed. Ratu smiled, ruffled his hair. Stood went to the next. Teacher, real one. Junseo turned away from the entrance to the school. Went to his hut. I am still needed. But not as before. The system is needed less and less. This is right. 5th year. The tribe 200 people. The village became a settlement. 40 clay houses arranged in streets Junseo insisted on planning. Not chaotically rows with passages between them. Fire safety, hygiene, logic. A guest came from the south. Not a trader, a hunter. Young, strong. Different tattoos, unfamiliar patterns. Different language, completely different. Not similar to the language of the tribe, nor to the language of the Hari. Ratu met him with gestures, several common trade symbols. The guest took out an object. Extended. Small, round, shiny. Junseo took it. Metal, but not copper. Different color. Silvery? Iron? No iron rusts. This is pure. Tin? Or silver? Silver. Natural silver. Where from? Asked through Ratu with gestures. The guest showed south, far mountains. Silver from the southern mountains. Junseo held a piece of silver. Silver not for tools, too soft. But value. For exchange, trade. This is the beginning of trade. But more important, if there is silver in the south, what else is there? Copper already exists. Tin and copper plus tin, this is bronze. Bronze is harder than copper many times. Asked through gestures greenstone, the same as copper ore. The guest nodded. Yes, there is. Ratu, said Junseo. We need to go south. Expedition 8 people. Junseo, Ratu, 6 best hunters. And the guest from the south as a guide. 10 days journey. Mountains not high, covered with forest. In the riverbeds indeed greenstone, copper ore, and nearby graystone with metallic luster. Cassiterite, tin ore. Junseo took samples. Looked. Copper plus tin bronze. Approximately 90% copper and 10 tin. Melting temperature about 900 degrees. Higher than that of copper alone. Without a normal smelting furnace, difficult. Very difficult. But the system. They collected the ore. A lot, as much as they could carry. Returned. In the village, Junseo built a smelting pit. Deep, with good draft from below. Charcoal not firewood. Charcoal burns hotter. Charcoal they already knew how to make. Junseo showed it back in the first year. They filled the ore. Lit the fire. Ordinary charcoal gives about 600 to 700 degrees with good draft. Need 900. System add 200 degrees to the burning of the charcoal. Small violation of thermodynamics. System. Raise the burning temperature of the charcoal in the smelting pit by 200 degrees. Maintain for 2 hours. Cost, 20 units per hour, total 40. Yes, 2 hours the heat is unbearable. They stood at a distance, then opened it. At the bottom of the pit, molten metal. Dark, viscous. Copper melted, tin too, mixed. Junseo prepared a mold, a form of an axe carved in stone. Simple. Poured the melt into the mold. Waited. It cooled. Junseo took it out. Bronze axe. Rough, the first is always rough. But metal. Hard, heavy. Ran it over stone, a trace remained on the stone, not on the metal. Gave it to the senior hunter. That one raised it. Hit a wooden block. The axe went deeper than a stone one. Much deeper. Green stone is better than gray, the hunter repeated his own phrase from the first year. And this one is better than green. Yes, said Junseo, much. But the task is to teach how to smelt without the system. Need a furnace that gives 900 degrees by itself. Nima built furnaces improved gradually. The same principle. We build a better smelter. Higher draft, denser walls, hotter charcoal. A month of experiments we will find. Nima took up the task with enthusiasm. By this moment she had built 5 versions of the pottery kiln, each better than the previous one. Understood the principle of draft intuitively through her hands. Junseo explained the task. Need hotter than now. Twice. Twice? Nima looked skeptically. Yes, so that the stone melts. Stone does not melt. Some melt. If hot enough, Nima thought. More air from below, she said. More charcoal. Smaller outlet at the top so heat does not escape. Correct. Walls thicker. Hold heat inside? Correct. Shape? Nima pondered. Round is better than square. Heat does not escape into corners. She reached this herself. Very correct, said Junseo. Nima built for 3 weeks. The first smelter, according to her project, was better than Junseo's pit. Without the system, it gave about 800 degrees, 100 short. The second, with the changed shape of the inlet opening, 850. The third added a pre-chamber where air was heated before entering the main chamber, 920. Copper melted. Nima stood by her third furnace and watched the metal melt. "I did this," she said quietly. Not triumph, surprise, a person who discovered that she can do more than she thought. "You did this," confirmed Junseo. Nima turned to him. "You knew that I would do it?" "I knew that you could. I did not know exactly what you would come up with. The pre-chamber, that was my idea." "I know." Nima looked at him. "You could have done it yourself. With your sorcery." "Could, but did not." "No." "Why?" Junseo looked at the furnace. "At the molten metal. Because when I am gone you will remain, and Ratu will remain. And the children whom Ratu teaches. And their children." Pause. "My sorcery will die with me. Your furnace will not." Nima was silent for a long time. "You think about this," she said. "About when you will not be." "I think. Are you not afraid?" "Afraid of something else," said Junseo. "That I will leave before I pass on everything that is needed." 6th year. 280 people. No longer a settlement, a small city by the standards of this world. The first problems that did not exist before. Theft. One man took someone else's copper knife, said he lost his own. The owner of the knife demanded it back or punishment. Dispute over a field, 2 families said that one plot belonged to them. Who planted first, they do not remember. A serious fight, 1 person broke an arm. In a small tribe, the leader decided everything personally. Now I cannot know every dispute every day. Need rules, laws. Junseo called a large gathering. All adults came. "We need rules," he said. "Rules that everyone knows, that are the same for everyone, for the leader and for the hunter, for the old and the young." Silence. "What rules?" someone asked. "First," said Junseo, "what belongs to a person cannot be taken without permission. If violated, you return double." Nods. "Second, dispute over land is decided by record. Who planted first is the owner. Therefore, write it down. Ratu will teach how." Third, striking a person is punished by work for the tribe. Broken arm, you work for him until he recovers. Fourth, murder, exile. Forever. Pause. Did not name more points. "Is that all?" asked one elder. "For now, all. There should be few rules, but they must work. Many rules no one remembers. Who monitors that the rules are followed?" This question he was waiting for. "Council," said Junseo. "Not me alone. 5 people, me, Uka, and 3 whom the tribe will choose. We make the decision together. My voice is one of 5. Surprise!" They exchanged glances. "You are the leader," said one. "Your voice should be the first." "My voice is one of 5, repeated Junseo. "I can be wrong. 5 minds are better than 1. Uka nodded slowly. "Understood. The tribe will choose 3, announced the old man. "Tomorrow, the first council, the first laws, the first democracy of this world, small, imperfect, but the beginning." That night, Ratu came to Junseo's hut. Late, everyone was asleep. Ratu was not sleeping. Sat down at the entrance. Junseo came out. "Cannot sleep?" "Thinking," said Ratu. Sat down next to each other. Quiet, only insects. Distant campfire by the lake. "You said that your voice is one of 5, Ratu began. "But you are the leader. You have power. Why do you not take everything?" "Because I should not." "Why?" Junseo thought. "You saw how I make water flow upward?" "Many times. This is a tool. Like a copper knife, only in the head. The knife helps to cut. The system helps to change the world." "A knife can be used to kill a person," said Ratu quietly. "Yes, the system too?" "Here it is." The question that Ratu had held for a long time. "Yes," said Junseo. "I can, but I do not." "Why?" "Because the power that takes everything destroys what it protects." Pause. "If I alone make all decisions, people stop thinking. If I decide all disputes, people stop learning to negotiate. If I build with the system, people do not learn to build with their hands." Pause. "A strong person who does everything for others makes others weak." Ratu listened. "You deliberately make us strong." "I try. That is why I stopped using sorcery for small things." "Yes." Ratu was silent for a long time. I saw how you look at the school, he said. You stand at the entrance. You watch as the children learn. Pause. You have such a face. What kind? Like a person who found what he was looking for, said Ratu simply. A physics graduate student, 28 years old, died at a pedestrian crossing on a green light. Watches as children of the Stone Age learn to read symbols and count to 1,000. Yes, said Junseo quietly. Probably exactly like that. 10 years. Junseo stood on the hill above the settlement and looked down. Not a village, a city. Small, raw, imperfect, but a city. 470 people. 3 streets intersecting at right angles. The layout that he drew in the first year and which the council later rethought, made better than his project. Clay houses, half of them already have fired tiles on the roofs instead of leaves. Nima made the tiles 3 years ago. She came up with the shape herself. The well now 3 wells. The second and third the residents built without Junseo. They knew the principle. The field is large. Millet, pumpkin, 2 more types of cultivated plants that were found and domesticated by a young woman named Sena Ratu's student, the best botanist of the tribe. Nima's smelter worked every day. Bronze tools almost completely replaced stone ones. Nima trained 2 apprentices. The school 40 children every morning. Ratu raised 3 assistant teachers. The council of 5 people adopted 72 laws in 10 years. Junseo participated in half. In the other half, the council decided without him. They decided without him. Decided correctly. Trade with 3 neighboring tribes regular. Bronze in exchange for skins, salt, rare stones. 2 neighboring tribes asked to send teachers to them. Ratu sent 2. Knowledge spreads. Opened the interface. System, hacker carrier. Kim Junseo. Progress year 10. Energy 100 over 100. Area of effect. 45 meters grew from 10 laws available. 9 out of unknown number 9 laws. Unlocked gradually through use. New ones: electromagnetism, gas pressure, optics. Optics light. Change of refraction. Lens. You can create a lens from water by violating the refraction coefficient. A lens from water. This is a microscope. Primitive, unstable. But seeing microbes is possible. Showed to Ratu 3 months ago. Took a bowl with clean water. Violated refraction, the water turned into a lens. Took a drop of water from the swamp. Brought it to the lens. Ratu looked. What do you see? Asked Junseo. Small, moving. Ratu fell silent. Are they alive? Yes, are these them? The little enemies? Part of them, yes. Ratu looked at the drop of swamp water for a long time. You talked about them 10 years ago. Voice quiet. I believed, but did not see. Now you see, now I see. Ratu straightened up. I need to show Sina and the children in the school. Pause. Can you make such a thing from glass, so that sorcery is not needed? Glass. A lens from glass. For this you need to melt glass, silicon, limestone, high temperature. Nima will cope. Possible, said Junseo. I will tell Nima how. 3 months later, Nima was melting the first glass. Cloudy, with bubbles, but transparent. Uka had aged greatly. 80 years is a lot for this world. Walked with a stick, heard poorly. But sat every day in his place by the big tree. Thought, observed. Junseo came to him every morning. Sat down next to him. Were silent sometimes for a long time. Then Uka would say something, always precise, always unexpected. Today he looked at the settlement below. Remember the first day? Asked the old man. Yes, you raised the water from the stream upward. Pause. Then I thought the spirit sent this creature to kill us, I know. Then Mata's child recovered. Then the fire went out. Pause. Then I gave you the necklace. Uka touched his empty neck. The necklace had long been on Junseo. I thought I was doing the right thing. Did not know why. Now you know? Uka looked at the settlement for a long time. Spirits do not send rulers, he said. Spirits send teachers. You were a teacher, not a leader. Junseo listened. Ratu is the leader, said Uka. A real one. He knows what we know, and knows what we do not know yet. Pause. You made him. He made himself. You gave him the opportunity, said Uka. That too is what a leader does. Silence. Will you leave someday? Asked the old man. I do not know. Maybe I will be here always. No, said Uka calmly. A teacher leaves when the student is ready. Pause. Ratu is ready. Pause. Soon you will leave. Junseo looked at the settlement. 470 people. 3 streets. A school with 40 children, smelter, laws, writing. This is not a great civilization. This is not even the beginning of a great civilization by the standards of history. But this is a different path than the one they would have walked without him. Is this enough? No, said Junseo quietly. Not ready to leave yet. Good, said Uka. Means there is still something to pass on. In the evening of the same day, Junseo sat by the well alone. The water in the well was quiet, dark, reflected the stars. Opened the interface. 9 available laws. What is the 10th? System. Next law. Unlock. Requirement for unlocking Law 10. The carrier must use the system for creation, not destruction, at least 1,000 times. Current progress, 974 over 1,000, until the next law, 26 uses. 1,000 uses for creation, 10 years, 974, and almost all of them were here in this settlement. 26 left. Junseo closed the interface, looked into the water of the well. It does not matter what is behind the 10th law, that is not the point. Tomorrow I will go to the school. Ratu today said that the older children want to understand why the stars do not fall. I will tell them about gravity, the real one, not the one I use, the one that holds this world. Then I will help Nima with a new furnace. She wants to make glass without bubbles. Then the council. Dispute over the boundary of a field between 2 families. An ordinary day. Raised his hand over the well. Violated the surface tension of the water, the smallest violation of all that he knew how to do. The water on the surface became different. Took shape like mercury, rose in small domes. Lowered. Slowly, beautifully, no one saw. Just water that moved as it should not move. Just he could do it. Smiled. A physics graduate student, 28 years old, died at a pedestrian crossing. Lived in a world where the laws of physics are violable. Built a settlement from 73 people. Still building. Cancelled the violation. The water calmed down. Stood up. Went home.